Welcome to another exciting episode of American Warrior Radio, coming to you since 2009. If you or someone you know has ever worn the uniform of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, Space Force, or National Guard or Reserves, you've come to the right place, American Warrior Radio. We're always efforting to bring you news, notes, interviews, and current events for all things military and veteran related. The bumper music for American Warrior Radio is provided by none other than combat veteran and mill hop artist Stephen Hobbs. Thank you, Stephen. With that said, let's kick the tires and light the fires and get this episode off the ground. Before we get to this new episode of American Warrior Radio Show, I want to remind you that AVET Project must raise funds for our PR&R retreats for active duty and veterans. PR&R, Project Recuperation and Reintegration Retreats. It changes lives. Help us help them, and help yourself to a chance at winning this Kel-Tec KSG 410 shotgun. You've seen Kel-Tec in the movies, John Wick, Hawaii Five-0, all over. Go to the website, avet-project.org. Drawing is to be held on Patriot Day 2024. That's 9/11/2024. Until next time, don't forget, thank AVET. Hi everybody, Garen Cohn here with American Warrior Radio Show. I'm so glad you tuned in. And you know, it's super important that you take and subscribe to the channel. Please. It's the only way we're going to get this great information out. And it's all free. We're going to talk about C&P exams. Compensation and pension exams. Very simple. You file a claim for disability compensation with the VA. What happens next? If you haven't done so, I'm going to encourage you today to go online and look up intent to file. This is the simplest form within the entire universe of VA forms, but what it does by filling out some general information, you don't even have to tell the VA what you're claiming as a disability. You just have to intent to file. Look it up, fill it out, get it into them, quick submit, fax it to them. You can even snail mail it. What it does is establish your effective date. That means your effective date for payment. So if your ankle that you busted up in service and you've never filed a claim for it, and it's really bugging you today, we obviously know it happened in service, it's bothering you today, and there's this bridge or nexus between the two. File an intent to file. You have up to 12 months, that's an entire year, to develop that claim with some medical evidence to say you've got it now and that it happened in service. Submit that, and then what will happen? The VA is going to do what's called a VAE, VA exam, to confirm, number one, that you have the disability, and then number two, and more important when it comes to the rating board, they want to see how bad it is, how you are limited from that disability. Compensation and pension exams are vital. What I want you to understand is there's help on the way. It's a big thing dealing with the VA. Go to avet-project.org. Little navigation buttons up there on the left. Click on it. Go to DIY claims. Very simple. Scroll down about halfway down the page until you see a surgeon with a scalpel. Just below that are what is called DBQs, Disability Benefit Questionnaires. It is the form that the examiner, which could be a nurse practitioner, might be a psychologist, could be a medical doctor. It is the form that the examiner is going to use to evaluate you. This is a C&P exam. Check it out. avet-project.org, navigation button, do it yourself, halfway down, surgeon with a scalpel, and then continue down until you find your orthopedic disability. Maybe it's a heart problem, maybe it's diabetes, could be headache, migraine, or otherwise. Find that DBQ, click on it, and magically, our executive director, my wife Kim, has put it all down there. Every form. Print it out. I say print it out because there's a lot there. Each form has to encompass a whole bunch of different levels, and we want you to be educated before you go to the C&P exam. So you've got this DBQ in front of you. Go through it. Read what the signs and symptoms are for the disability you're claiming. Maybe it's range of motion. This is important. Let's say you've got a back problem and you go in there, you file the claim, you get this C&P exam, you go to the examiner's office. Keep this in mind. From the moment, and I've read this in reports, people, I've been doing this a long time, they are paying attention. From the time you leave your vehicle to the time you present to the doctor. I'm going to share a little something with you. C&P exams, very important. The examiner could be a man, could be a woman. It isn't going to be other. like the VA application for benefits, because there is no other. It's either a man or a woman that's going to greet you. They're going to say, "Hi, how are you today?" If you say, "I'm good, I'm fine," what are you doing there? Here's a true little fact. What do they call them now? Hacks. Here's a hack for you. The examiner says, "How are you today?" Some days are worse than others. Then you don't say nothing. There isn't a person on the planet that can't say that truthfully every single day of their life. Some days are worse than others. I didn't say some days are better than others. Some days are worse than others. Number one, it's true. Number two, and more importantly, it sets the examiner back on their heels. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. I better pay attention to what this person's saying about their disability. Then you sit down. It's a back issue. That's the hypothetical we're talking about. Examiner asks you to stand up, bend over and touch your toes. If you can do that, this is a C&P exam. If you can do that, and you've already looked over the DBQ, so you know they're going to do these goniometer tests, checking your range of motion, pain, sensitivity, maybe scarring, things like that. Bend over and touch your toes? Okay. If you can, fine. But if you get halfway down and you incur pain, go, "Doc, that's painful. Do you want me to continue?" They have to make a note. So don't just silently be a good soldier and bend over and touch your toes, and in the meantime you're just grinning and bearing it because it was painful. Range of motion is one of the primary ones for an orthopedic disability that they're going to be measuring. There's a whole scope of other C&P exam items we could go over, but I'm giving you just a taste of it because I want you to educate yourself. One last time, compensation and pension exam for a disability claim. You went and did your intent to file. Now you've developed some evidence. You've submitted the claim. They ordered the exam. Before you go in, avet-project.org, nav buttons, DIY, scroll halfway down, doctor with scalpel, DBQs, print it out, read it over, present to the examination. Be mindful, they are watching you from the time you leave your car to the time the doctor says, "How are you today?" Some days are worse than others. And then don't shoot yourself in the foot. If you can do whatever exercise they've asked you to do, fine. But if you encounter pain through the motion, you better stop and tell them, "Ooh, that's painful." And that should get you a good result. We'll talk another time on American Warrior Radio Show about what happens if you get an inadequate exam, or you have some strife between you and the examiner, or maybe the examiner is just an asshat. Okay, a lot of them are contracted by the VA from QTC, VES, LHI, a number of different contractors. I just want you to know there's always redress. There's always recourse. That's why you go to avetappeals.com, okay? This is Garen Cohn with AVET Project and American Warrior Radio Show, wishing you the best success on your C&P exam. Until next time, don't forget, thank a vet. Hi everyone, it's Garen Cohn with American Warrior Radio. I'm here with my good friend Christian. We're here to deliver a very important message about a crisis in our land.
Suicide prevention, more specifically, veteran suicide prevention.
22 a day are taking their own lives. This must stop. This can't continue. If you or someone you know is contemplating suicide, please know that God has tomorrow planned for you. Don't take your own life. And just remember, suicide is a permanent solution
to a temporary problem.